I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about your ex does want to talk to you.
Oh, we want to talk to you too. Craig and I are available for coaching sessions, so if you would like to talk about your situation one-on-one with one of us, you can do so by going to the website and booking from there. So let's get into it.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that really hurts, especially when you're in no contact, is feeling like your ex doesn't want to talk with you. And, you know, in some weird way, they do want to talk to you. Now, let me say from the get-go, we're not telling you to reach out to your ex and break no contact. Some of you are going to panic and want to do that immediately. That's not what we're saying. It's just that your ex has a lot more internal conflict going on than you realize. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that you pressure. The dumpee pressures the ex. They want to talk about fixing things. So the dumper, especially in the beginning, they kind of miss you. They're kind of relieved. They kind of want to talk to you, but not about the breakup.
They experience a lot of ambivalence.
Yeah. And so it's not this black and white thinking that many of you may think is, well, if they broke up with me, well, why would they want to talk with me? Mm-hmm. Well, because they have feelings, and feelings are fluid and they change, and it's not all or nothing. Now, there might be some cases where somebody's like, I don't want to talk to them. Mm-hmm. But I think for the most part, your ex goes through a lot in no contact, especially as time goes by.
Right. And a great example of this is when you see your ex like some of your posts or watch all of your stories, you're thinking, they dumped me, they end the relationship. Yeah. Why are they still keeping tabs on me? Like Craig said, we're human. Of course, there's going to be curiosities. Of course, there might still be some residual feelings there. It's not like you can just turn off your feelings overnight, even though it can feel like it on your end.
Yes. And this goes also for an avoidant. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people are going to think, well, avoidant exes are... Trust me, we understand avoidance very well. Okay, we've been talking about avoidant and attachment styles since we launched the channel. Okay, and I was studying it and talking with Coach Margaret about this for years before we launched the channel. So trust me, we understand it a lot better than the people that are copying our videos.
And while, yes, the avoidants do have a better ability to compartmentalize and, put things to the side, we talk about this all the time too, but nobody can escape grief. Yep. Attachment is very powerful.
And we've got a good email to share with you today. You're going to like this one because I think you're going to see some of the stuff that we talk about coming out, and, the other perspectives that you hear or see. When you're seeing other people go through it, it makes it a lot more comforting to know, wow, people are going through this. Okay, so this is a good example. He said, "Hi, Coach Craig. First of all, I want to thank you so much for your work and your team have provided. It is clear to me that you guys do not get the recognition you deserve. I have learned more from watching your channel than I have from years of therapy." Wow. And how many times, do you hear that, right? Mm-hmm. We hear that a lot.
Yeah.
"And I am just beginning my undertaking of the Creative Healing course, which I will provide a review for you when I am finished. But the first 3 sections have already surpassed my expectations.
That's awesome.
I wanted to provide a little bit about my situation to help put some of my fellow anxious dumpees at ease. So let me start off by saying that your avoidant ex does want to talk with you.
That's a bold statement.
It's just different than you, and they have different goals at that time. Even if you have been in no contact for months, they are missing you, and they do want to talk with you. And I would never have believed it if It hadn't come from her directly.
And this is something that we do see sometimes. When a couple does reconnect, you hear the ex say, I thought about you the whole time. You've been on my mind so much. It manifests very differently. I love the way that he worded it.
Whereas the dumpy is very strategic in what we reveal, the dumper doesn't think like that. And so they naturally just say everything that they're going through.
Yeah.
But you have to stay quiet and listen. Many times the anxious people start
Me
talking.
too.
Yeah. Stay quiet
Yeah.
and listen. Let them talk. I am in my early 30s and my ex is in her late 20s. We were together for about 3 years before she ended our relationship fairly unexpectedly. Now that I am looking back at the relationship, and quite honestly thanks to you and your insights, I realize that we were in the anxious avoidant trap. I was slightly anxious in our relationship and she was slightly avoidant. When she would pull away or just need some space and was distant towards me, I often felt that anxiety in my body. I could feel it, but I think that feeling always felt natural or normal to me, and I didn't recognize it consciously.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you grow up in that anxiety or vice versa, in that avoidance. That becomes your baseline.
Yeah.
It's hard to detect when you've just been living like that your whole life.
Yeah, such a great point that it just feels normal. And so you don't realize it until you start to hear us talking about it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
I do that. And then you're like, I can't even believe it. It's really surprising. Through your teaching, I have been able to identify my anxiety in a conscious manner, which has truly helped enlighten me and to see things clearly. I did my first Skype with Coach Craig, and he really helped me see things clearly, and I just felt so much better after having an initial plan. It's normal, right? Once you get to hear some feedback from us and they talk to us, it's like you can see like, okay, you were thinking some of the same things I were thinking, but now I'm also going to consider those things. I had a guy that I've been doing a bunch of calls with. He actually was surprised by some of my advice the other day. And he's like, I can't believe you're saying this to me. And I'm like, you're in a unique situation. And he was.
Yeah.
And so, in fact, it was one that I had told you about probably about a month ago. You probably don't remember it. But he's in such a unique situation that he was surprised by how I suggested navigating because, it's very different than a lot of the ones that we have on the channel.
Right. And we tell you to always try and apply whatever we teach to your situation. And we know that sometimes it can be a little tricky. So we are here to help.
Yeah.
I will note that I love that he's learning new things and integrating it. I really think awareness is a huge step in becoming more secure in yourself, becoming more confident, because then you start to realize when you're creeping back into your anxious tendencies or your avoidant tendencies. And this can apply to many different mental health struggles, even depression. Sometimes you start to notice when you're becoming depressed again. You start to see yourself isolate. You start to see yourself sleeping more. Same thing with attachment styles.
Yeah.
You start to notice, oh man, I'm feeling so much more anxious. I'm needing a lot more reassurance. Or if you're more avoidant, I'm needing a lot more space right now. So being aware of that and learning how to communicate is a ginormous first step.
It really changes so much of attraction. My ex broke up with me about 7 months ago, shortly before we were discussing getting engaged and had begun the process of looking at places together. No surprise there. Anxious or avoidant people get very anxious in those situations. It starts to overwhelm them, and a lot of times they sabotage and run away. She made a few small comments around that time that did not seem like she truly meant. But looking back, I think it was a small window into seeing her own anxiety and avoidant ways. Despite having already told me she was feeling ready to get engaged a few months prior and everything was going well between us, one day she said, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. And that would surprise the hell out of you if you're going through it, right? Especially if you don't know about this stuff.
Oh, yeah. You're going to take that to heart.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be hard to try to reassure, try to do anything different in that moment besides panic.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just becomes a downward spiral. The way she said it seemed like it leaked out of her unconscious, but did not continue the conversation. And I think I was unaware of how much that small statement meant. And avoidance often say it like that. Like, their complaint is, you don't take me to the beach enough. Then at the time of the breakup, they're like, I told you you didn't take me to the beach enough. And even though they said it one time just like casually, it had been bothering them and festering in them for months.
Because they're not used to vocalizing their needs like that.
So when they say something small, you have to be emotionally attuned to it, which is why you have to soothe yourself with your anxiety, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to hear what the avoidant is trying to tell you.
Right? Either you over-exaggerate, assume, and run with it, or you miss it completely.
Let's go on here. And so I kind of inadvertently ignored it and said something supportive, like, we're doing so great, and this is going to be a positive step for us. So he just thought he could be positive about it, but because he didn't say, hang on, what do you mean? Are you worried? You don't think we're going to do well if we live together? And explore it a little bit. He just thought, I could just reassure her. And he didn't do bad. He was positive and supportive.
Yeah.
It's just that the avoidant going to that next level is panicking.
Right. And he couldn't connect to her sense of terror.
Yeah.
Which, the image that I'm getting, maybe I'm under this impression because it's close to Halloween, spooky season, but I've been watching a lot of scary movies lately. I'm getting that image of almost like an eerie hospital, right? You're about to get an injection of some unknown substance. And the
What kind of movies are you watching?
Scary ones. And the nurse is there and she's saying, everything's just going to be fine. It's all going to be okay. And so, there's almost like a disconnect here. He's responding to her words, but being able to connect with her feeling of, oh my gosh, okay, something is scary here. You feel confused. You're uncertain about the future. This feels like such a big, heavy decision.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. But it's tough because she said it in such a quick, short way. Yeah. She only said it like a passing comment. Yeah. So you don't think too much of it.
Right. It's also her responsibility to share.
Good point.
Right? He can't work with what he doesn't know.
Yeah. Good point. Well, that statement quickly escalated, as many of us have gone through. Before you know it, your ex breaks up with you, and your anxiety quickly overwhelms you, only making it much harder to repair. I made many of the classic mistakes. I tried to change her mind, a good reminder text, and a clean slate message. Both got ignored, and I shall follow up on what she told me in a bit. The first few months or so, I was watching her social media because she was watching mine. Then it really hit home with what Craig was trying to say, and I stopped watching her stories. I didn't really grasp what Craig and Victoria and Miss Margaret were trying to say those first months about growing in no contact. One day, it finally hit me that had my ex reached out on that day, I really wasn't going to be much different than how I presented myself to her all along. That is a big aha moment.
Yeah.
And that probably changed the whole course of this breakup. Realizing I'm not any different. If she reaches out, I haven't worked on myself. I've only been watching these no contact videos. I haven't really done any true work on myself.
Yeah.
I decided I was going to invest in myself, regardless of what my ex was going to do. After all, it is my life, and I should be the best version of me for myself. I should not only want to be the best version of me for someone that may not want to be in my life.
Those are very good points.
I purchased the creative healing course, and right away, it was easy to see that this team is truly top-notch.
Wow. I'm blushing over here. This is so nice.
I had been spending hours every day watching his videos and loved what he was saying, and so my focus shifted to doing the course. And Craig is right. When you start focusing and shifting onto yourself while you're in no contact, it really does make you feel better. Yeah, it really does. The people, when you're talking to them, doesn't it just seem like they feel so much better about everything when they're really doing it?
Sometimes it's so jarring, but if I work with you for an extended period of time, sometimes you can physically see the changes in the
Sure.
person, the glow in the skin,
They're
their
excited.
expressions.
They're excited.
There's so much that changes in a person, even within a couple months. And it's okay if it takes you a couple months to really have that mental shift. If in the beginning you're just watching no contact videos, okay, that's fine. But our goal is really to get you to that point, to have that shift that he's had, to have that shift that we've had at this point during the breakup, where you can realize, wait a minute, this is not what I think it was about all along. I have power, I have control. It's almost like a light bulb goes off in your mind, and then you start thinking about all the potential and possibilities and all that information out there, and you start thinking about how different your life could be.
And you feel different. It's like, and the best way I could describe it is like when Neo realizes he's in the Matrix and he can see things clearer, instead of letting your anxiety control you, you feel so much more empowered. Like, I see things differently now. I see all the people around me, you know, that are acting impulsively out of anxiety. And or you're watching avoidant people, and you see that most of these people are doing it unconsciously. But when you bring it to your conscious, you just become so much more confident and relaxed.
Oh yeah, and then you start taking care of yourself. You know, at this point is really when you can start to eat again, when you can start to sleep a little better. Of course, healing isn't just linear, and it's not just going to be a straight path. There's going to be days that are up and down, and I'm sure any of us here can attest to that.
Sure.
But the shift that he's talking about is important. And when you feel it, you feel it.
Yep. Well, let's get on. I felt less anxious about my breakup, and I felt better about myself. So for several months, I just made my focus personal growth, becoming more confident, and healing my issues. By month 5, I was convinced my ex was not going to reach out again. But I also wanted to be positive. Then, one day, I saw she watched one of my stories.
Ooh.
She disappeared for a few weeks and then watched another one.
Oh.
And you see this stuff happen. The next day, I noticed she blocked me. I admit it, I had to look. I didn't react, but this actually got me a bit more motivated. Because if she was watching my stories, I knew she was thinking about me. I then did a follow-up Skype with Coach Craig to discuss all my progress and the recent change of events. He said, give her a little more time. In fact, he predicted under a month. Yeah, sometimes when you see that stuff, you can, I have an idea when this is going to happen. You know what I mean? About 3 weeks later, she must have unblocked me because she liked one of my posts.
Getting bolder.
I couldn't believe it. After she blocked me, I thought she was trying to get over me and move on. I listened to Craig and did nothing. Then, after another few weeks, she added me and commented on another story.
Interesting.
I would say it was an indirect direct. I stayed calm and casual. She said she was hoping to talk. I went through all my answers from the creative healing course several times leading up to our hangout. So, much of what Craig says happened. She started opening up. The floodgates had opened. She said she felt okay at the start of the breakup, that she was fine, and had even considered dating.
Oof.
I wanted to die inside when she said that, but all my work had me prepared. And that is one of the most painful things you're going to hear, is if your ex says, I thought about dating or I went on a couple dates, it's going to kill you, but you can't have that meltdown, right?
You got to keep it together.
Yeah, and he did, fortunately. She said as time went by, she started to miss me. She thought about me every day.
Wow.
She even said she would try not to think about me. She said she would have to fight with herself not to watch my social media.
Wow.
You see how the roles are kind of slowly getting reversed here? She said she wanted to talk with me every day. You hear it. Exes say this. When you stay quiet and you listen to them and they get in front of you, they're going to say stuff like this to you. It's so shocking when it happens to you, but if you really stay the course, it allows you to be in this position.
And silence is such a powerful tool. Had he interjected at any of these moments, the conversation could have taken a turn. But what he did here was he created an environment safe enough for her to reveal all of these things. He didn't interrupt her, it doesn't sound like. He let her talk and share to her comfort level.
Vomit it out. Just
Let it out.
Tell me everything so I can tell Coach Craig he was right. It's true. She said she wanted to talk with me every day, that she would imagine conversations with me. How many times do we do that? Where we ruminate over these imaginary conversations.
They say this and then I'll say that.
Yeah, and I'm going to get him with this. I'm going to hit him with that. And then it never goes like that conversation.
No.
What she wanted to say, what she was hoping I'd say, she opened up about how much pain she was in, but wasn't ready to show it. There you have it. Wasn't ready. And that she still didn't know what she wanted, so she couldn't reach out.
And I respect her a lot for that. Because I would rather somebody realize, hey, I'm feeling ambivalent about this, I'm mixed, and I don't want to lead someone on. I don't want to put someone in a position that I'm not ready to be in either yet.
Yeah.
So I respect her for not reaching out to him before she was ready, for not sharing these things with him before she was ready. And that's the attitude that I hope all of you can have towards your ex, that you can respect them for not reaching out to you before that they're ready.
Good point. Yes, because if they reach out before they're ready, it's going to feel like confusing to you, like why are they reaching out? They don't know what they want. And it's likely going to spiral quickly because people are hurt.
Exactly.
Okay. Inside, my mouth dropped, but I stayed as calm as I had ever been. I know this has been a long email, so I will save the rest for a success story, LOL. As of writing this, we have been going out. I have been letting her come to me, and we are getting along well. I am optimistic that we will have another chance, which is all I can really ask for. Without Craig's work, and you too, Victoria, and of course Margaret, I would still be the same man that I was, and not the man that I have become and looking forward to be. Thank you for everything. I will be booking another Skype soon.
Awesome.
So this has been a really good success story, and it's been really helpful to see what your ex is going through and know that, yes, even avoidant exes do want to talk to you. We're not telling you to break no contact. We're not telling you to reach out, but they're struggling with wanting to talk to you too. And this ex especially opened up about what she was going through, what she was feeling, that she was having these imaginary conversations, which we all do, by the way. We all have these things that we ruminate and fantasize about, and it rarely goes the way that we think it's going to go.
He did an excellent job of creating that safe space for her. And I'm really glad that he was able to continue that and is able to continue that. And I really think this letter itself is a success story.
Absolutely.
That's how I see it.
He's changed his life. And he's already on a great path regardless of what happens with her. So he is going to be in a much better position because of all this hard work. Now, I'm sure he wants to see where it will go with the ex, and only time will tell. But he's definitely done a lot of great things and shared a lot of the insights that he had that are putting him in a position to have a successful relationship with whoever he winds up with.
Right. And I hope you as a listener, as a viewer, can also see that this is possible for you too.
Absolutely. Do the work. It pays off. And of course, if you have questions or you want to talk to us about your breakup, you can schedule a coaching with me on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. And Coach Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.